Hi, welcome back to this episode of the Conversation of Our Generation. My name is Nick Jamel, and I'm just here talking about anything that I can think of that to me seems like it's relevant to getting closer to some sort of truth and trying to create a dialogue here in a forum for discussion where people can come bring their ideas, their questions, and you're not going to be judged for it. You can simply just join in on our conversation and we can all work together, hopefully, to get closer to where we want to be. And so I talk about philosophy, politics, things like that, and then like art as well. And so this week, I'm trying to kind of keep it a little bit lighter, topic wise, because I've been getting into a lot of heavy politics and stuff recently. So trying to just get it away from that for a little bit and swing back the other way. So today, what I want to talk about is like Christopher Nolan movies, and I'm probably going to do another one on some of the other ones. I don't know, maybe not, but we'll see. And this was going to be a little bit shorter, but I just want to dive into it because I don't know. My mom made me watch The Prestige this week. She was like, "You need to just watch this movie. You'll like it." So I went and I watched it, and then I immediately had to go like Google what happens at the end and like try to make sure I didn't miss anything. And then I watched Insomnia, and I've seen Inception and the Dark Knight series and all that, and I think just honestly, he's probably one of my favorite directors at this point in time because I don't think I've seen a movie of his that I not only haven't liked, like I haven't seen one that I haven't been like thinking about for like 2 more days afterwards, trying to figure it out, and like really, really enjoyed it the entire time and was just like enthralled with what was going on. And I think that's something that's really. Oh, and Memento. That's another movie I've seen before, and I thought it was incredible. I thought it was really a badass movie. And see, I even forgot it. For those of you who've seen it, you'll get it. For those of you who haven't, go watch it because it's really good. But I think the way he does the twists a lot of times at the end are great. That's the sort of thing where you know it keeps you on your toes every time when you're watching his movies, and you know that at the end there's going to be something that happens that really gets you. And his character development is always like what the characters are always so great. And I think the coolest thing that I've noticed in pretty much all of his movies, I'm trying to think, yeah, in all of his movies, there's a real level of like burden on almost all the characters. Like and I think it's a really real thing, like because a lot of times, you know, you watch like James Bond, and he goes around sleeping with a bunch of women, killing people, and like and he's just Bond, like he's kind of like that. It's like he brushes it all off, and there's no like I don't know, he's like a superhero really, because it just falls off him. But even like Batman, um, you can see the burden that Christian Bale like feels, and then the burden that Alfred has, like trying to watch over him and make sure, and everybody, like in Morgan Freeman's character, like they're watching out for him, and they're like they all have like constantly a burdened look on their face, like all the heroes always do in his movies. Um, and I think that's a really interesting facet that he seems to have is that the I guess always pretty much always it seems his protagonist, Leonardo DiCaprio in Inception has that too, um, where the protagonists feel burdened by what it is that they have to do. It's almost like a back to Machiavelli. It's like that Machiavellian, you know, it's like the prince has to take on the weight of what he has to do. It's not that he gets to be prince. It's you have to be prince. It's a burden also as well because you have to be the one who gets your hands dirty. You have to be the one who makes decisions that in the end may hurt people, or you may have to say, well, I'm going to save 1,000 people but I have to kill 500 in order to do it, or put 500 lives at risk in order to save 1,000. Those are the kind of things that it seems like he dives into is that burden. It's Batman is the not the hero we need, but the hero we deserve, or I think that's it. Uh, and I think it's really, really an interesting thing, and I think it's really in line with how the world really is that if you're and I think also there's always a thing in his movies that they're seeking the truth. Memento, seeking the truth. Prestige, they're trying to figure out the truth of how they do their tricks because they're obviously illusionists, right? And that's not giving anything away. It's pretty quick. And then Inception, they're trying to implant something in someone's mind that's not true, but because they're for hire, they're trying to get into that one, I forget that, like, businessman's mind or whatever. But there's that, Insomnia is a detective show. They're obviously trying to get to the truth of, what's going on. And so I think each one of those, and I think that there's a sense in his movies that it's a burden to do that. And I think that's really true in real life, is that the people who strive to get at the truth, oftentimes number one, it's hard to not become obsessed. Number two, it's something that you really have to work at, so you do take on a burden in doing so. And he really illustrates that well, that it's like a weight on them. And you can see it like throughout history on the people, I mean, like the Greek philosophers, the Socrates, up into the Renaissance with Leonardo da Vinci and all those people, like they up into our founding fathers and so on and so forth. The people who have seeked the truth every time, they seem to be, I mean, they might be rewarded in doing so a lot of times, but there's a lot of times where people lead miserable lives or burdensome lives. And that's kind of what I think he tries to illustrate a lot of times. I don't know. And I think it's also really nice to see that he doesn't really, like, his movies you can watch and you don't feel like they're politicized. They're not, they're just really genuine art, and they really get at just human tendencies. And I think that's something that art a lot of times can lose because of, it's not, a lot of people use art as a way for activism. I think it's not the best way to do it. I think art's best when you tune into people's humanity and you get them to connect with the character rather than like push an ideology through a character. I think that when you do that, it's disingenuous. It's you can look at it and you see that this isn't, if you're trying to push a perspective 99 times out of 100, I mean, like a political perspective, that is 99 times out of 100, it's obvious, and the characters are not nearly as full and realistic as they could be, and music is not even half as good as it should be. When you do that, half the time, sometimes it's good, sometimes, but it also depends on how you go about doing it. And I think music's a little bit different than movies, but it's just tough to kind of watch those and see, because that it's phony, it's pushing something. And I think that's what's so great about Christopher Nolan movies, and they just seem to be really genuine and really trying to develop characters, and really, I mean, they're awesome. The one thing too that I wanted to talk about, let me think about this. I forgot what I was going to say there. I also think that the way he does the twists, again, I think they're incredible, and I think that it's kind of a way to illustrate how truth works, where a lot of times, you're working on getting better and better at understanding something, and then it's like all of a sudden it clicks, and then you're and your world's kind of just toppled over, and you're on upside down, and you don't know, and you're like, oh shit, is this what's real? Or like at the end of Inception, I mean, I'm sure it, you know when he spins the top. I don't want to spoil it, but I don't think it's much of a spoiler because you don't know what happens. But you see that, and it's like, you can see that the truth's left up to either side. But there's like Memento at the very end. I will say, I'm not going to tell you what happens because I don't want to spoil it for most people who haven't seen it. But if you haven't seen it, go see it. If you have, you know what I'm talking about. But it just kind of like the truth flips on its head all of a sudden. You're like, hold up. So what's real and what's fake here? What was imagined or what was created? And what really happened there? And so that kind of thing, you can have that happen to you where the truth that you think flips, and then now you have to decide. You have two arguments that you have to say which one is the truth on this. And I think he does that a lot, and he does it for sure in The Prestige. He does it in Memento, and then I don't know. It's just, I think that's a really cool idea. And then he even does it in Insomnia, kind of. He really flips the truth on its head, and it's also, they're cops, so they have to, you'll see if you watch it or if you haven't watched it, but, they have to be going for the truth, and then, they come into their moral dilemmas of their own on how to go about it. And so I guess that's really all I have to say for this. I'm just really excited right now because I'm not a big movie guy, but at all. Like, I really don't watch a lot of movies or TV, but I just jumped all in on that, and I thought it was awesome. And I just wanted to kind of talk about that and just recommend those if you haven't seen them, because I would say those are probably all in my favorite movies right there. Anything that he's made that I've seen is pretty much in my favorite movies of his, and I'm gonna have to be looking up and seeing if there's other stuff that I've missed. So that's it for today, guys. I just want to thank you for coming out and supporting me. For those of you who have, I've gained a little bit of traction, a little bit, inch by inch. So just keep sharing this with people. Keep, subscribing. For those of you who are liking what I'm doing, even if you don't watch my videos or whatever, just hop on, hit the subscribe button, and support me that way. For those of you who do like what I'm doing, like my videos, watch them, share them with people, and comment with ideas, because I'm definitely going to need some help with people generating ideas for me to talk about or pointing me to things that I need to look at, because I want to learn as well. I'm not just here to teach people, because I'm not I have no real sense of I have a little bit of credibility, but I don't have credibility to be out here teaching people things on all these different topics. I'm just giving my point of view. And so for people who want to help me out with growing myself and my learning, then help me, please. I invite it, because that's what this is about, is getting myself better as well. So yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for coming in for this episode of the Conversation of Our Generation, and let's get the dialogue going, and let's have a little bit of fun with this. All right, see you guys.